Hanging at the fish report. 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 For your latest news in high school sports, tune in to the fish report. Don't need no bed, don't need no pull. When you tune in to the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. You got Craig and TK and Heather D. Tune in at the fish report.
Coming to you live from Studio F in Russia, Ohio. It's the Fish Report Live Show with your hosts, Craig Fissinger and Ken Francis.
Tune in to the fish report.
Welcome, everyone, to another Fish Report Live. Thanks for joining us. I'm Craig Fissinger. That is Ken Francis. Back in our sound room tonight, it's Heavy D, and Ross is back again this week, sitting in for the vacationing TK. Out in Studio R, we have Kobe and Kearns. We'll check in with them a little bit later. And Ken, another big night talking hoops, going over to the Cross County Conference tonight.
Yes, we are, Craig. Really looking forward to going to the CCC, talk some girls basketball, Craig. And we're going to be talking to one of the best players, not only in the CCC, but in the Miami Valley. And, when you're talking about high school senior girl basketball players, Craig, this is a real special one. And that's Tatum McBride for the Newton Indians. She's all-time leading scorer already in Newton history, and she's a Dablet Report Division IV preseason first team selection. And Craig, she's got a lot of talent. Saw her play the other night at Rushie's Clarcy Nouveau Gymnasium. Brings a lot of energy to the floor, handles the ball very well, and really looking forward to talking to her and seeing what's special about her and about what makes her team go.
Yeah, can't wait to get to that, Ken. But before we do that, just like we do here every week on the show, we have our poll question. What do you have for our viewers tonight?
Speaking of CCC lady girls basketball, Craig, which of these basketball players will have the best season? Will it be Sammy Whiteman from Covington, Tatum McBride of Newton, Emma Prince from Tri-Village, or Morgan Haney from Miami East? Some really good basketball players there, Craig. I've seen a couple of them play before. We'll see which one has the best season and see what our viewers have to say.
Yeah, if you're watching us out there on the Fish Report Live page or your phones, you can scroll down, help us answer tonight's poll question, and check the results. If you're watching us on NK Telco Cable TV, Ross is going to have those results for you at the end of the show. All right, Ken, well, let's get things started. And the boys' high school season started a little less than a week ago. Mm-hmm. Certainly, we've been paying attention to the Shelby County Athletic League. Got a chance to see a MAC team on Saturday night over at St. Henry. Wanted to get your thoughts on the early season. What are you thinking right now?
Well, Craig, like you said, it's very early. A lot of teams only have one game in. Some of the teams that played football late into the season don't have any games in. Russia Raiders, Craig, they've actually got 3 games in already. And interesting, Craig, they're going to play 5 games the first 8 days of the season. So they're sitting at 2-1 right now. And but you're right, they went over to St. Henry last Saturday night, suffered their only loss of the season. And I thought it was a great wake-up call for the Raiders. I think St. Henry showed some of the Raiders' weak spots, and I think they out-physicaled them. And St. Henry's got a really nice team there. Coach Rosenbeck, his team really likes to put up the 3-pointers. They hit the boards really hard. They play very aggressive defense. And I think Russia did make some nice adjustments in that game, Craig. Just couldn't quite hit the big bucket when they needed to climb all the way back into that game and ended up suffering a 10-point loss. But anytime you go over to a MAC school, Craig, and play on the road like that, especially at St. Henry, very tough to get out of there with a win. The Raiders, like I said, battled hard but came away with their only loss of the season. So as far as looking at other teams, Craig, kind of early. Most teams only got 1 game in, but we'll know a lot more after this weekend.
Yeah, you mentioned those Russia Raiders. I guess I've been a little surprised at their depth that they've had. They've been playing 9 guys, and I've been fortunate enough to call a couple games this season already. Called the Houston game last Friday and the Newton game on Tuesday. But going, again, 9 players, I kind of thought maybe they'd play 7, so a little surprised at their depth there. Glad to see that it's been working for them. The Fort Laramie Redskins, a team we've talked about this season already as being good. 5 of their first 6 games of the season, Ken, are actually home games and against teams that they should probably beat. So I'm not sure we're going to be able to know how good Laramie really is until they get to the meat of their schedule. Around the holidays, they have games on the road at St. Henry, on the road at Bethel. They have Russia at home, and then they go on the road against Versailles. So, there's going to be a lot of hype about, I think, Laramie in the next couple weeks, deservedly so, but we'll see how good they really are come the holidays, and I think that's where we're going to see how good those Redskins are. And one last comment, I know on the Shelby County League, I know you like Anna. You talk about Anna year in, year out. You seem to really like the Rockets. How about the shootout they had last night?
What a game, 99-90 win over New Bremen. Craig, I was very surprised with that score, to be honest with you. Honestly, going into that game, I would have thought Anna would have blew New Bremen out by 20 points plus. So either New Bremen's a lot better than I thought they were going to be. Maybe Anna just decided not to play defense last night. I'm not sure, but to see a 99-90 shootout, Craig, that had to be a fun one to watch nonetheless. And the Rockets, like you said, I think they got a lot of talent. I think they're going to be very good. They're going to be very fast. I think they're going to be hard to keep up with when you look at them across their schedule. But, obviously last night New Bremen played right with them in a gutsy performance there, so we'll see what happens as the year progresses.
Yeah, Wyatt Bensman with a big night there, 34 points. And actually I saw 80 free throws shot in that game.
Ooh.
Yeah, we had Anna 29 for 47, New Bremen 19 for 33. So with the overtime and the 80 free throws, I imagine that was a long night.
That was a long one there. Hopefully the JV game was a quick one.
All right, well, let's jump ahead, Ken, and talk a little SCAL girls. And they've got a couple weeks in the books right now. Let's take a quick look at the standings there.
Well, Craig, Russia and Fort Laramie both sitting there at 2-0 up top of the standings. Nice to see Russia 4-0 already, Craig. Right out of the gate, Coach Timmerman's got his young Raiders playing very good again this year. Fort Laramie suffered the one loss of the season the other day at Minster, which was, Minster obviously is probably one of the best D4 schools in Ohio when it comes to girls basketball this year. Fort Laramie played them very tough. They went and just took care of Botkins a week ago and gave Botkins their only loss of the season. So I think Fort Laramie girls, Craig, going to be a very, very tough team down the road, and if not already. But again, Russia Raiders 4-0 off to a great start. So we'll see what happens here in another week or two as these standings teams get more games in. But I think that they're starting to set the tone already there with Russia, Fort Laramie, Botkins, and Anna. No doubt those are the top 4 teams in the league.
And sitting in number 5 there right now, the Fairlawn Jets. Happy to see that, Ken, after an 0-23 year last year. Actually, I think they were on a 27-game slide, picked up a couple back-to-back wins over Indian Lake and Mississinawa. So nice to see that for that program.
Right, and then the other interesting thing, though, you look at Jackson Center sitting, just on 0-1 in the league, Craig, but with an overall record of 6th place in the league. That team went to state last year. So, rebuilding year maybe for the Lady Tigers, but nonetheless, they're going to be good under Coach Reese as the season progresses.
All right, well, for more on the SCAL, let's go out to Studio R, talk to Covey and Kearns. And guys, I know that that Laramie played that game at Minster on Tuesday night, got beat down there, but talk about the SCAL a little bit, not so much maybe about the Minster game, but how who your favorites are maybe in the SCAL right now, what you think of the league, and you can mention Minster or maybe who some of your favorites are in the MAC.
Well, I definitely think my pick of the Laramie Redskins has turned out well so far, being league champions. Beat Botkins last Saturday, 57-22. I expect Botkins to still be a good team, a little bit off to a slow start, working in some new players. But Laramie's got a plethora of young players. They got the best coach in the league, Carla Siegel, with her 2 state titles. And I really think that they are a regional-bound team and that they're going to be back to where they were 2 years ago.
Yeah, for sure. Last year with that really good freshman class coming in, she had a bit of a trouble with some of that inexperience, but especially with a coach like Carla Siegel, she gets the best out of any of her girls, and with the coaching that she's had over the number of years with the 2 state titles, like you said, she's going to be really good with these sophomores, and in the upcoming years they'll take over the SCAL, I believe.
With their win last Saturday over Botkins, Dr. Weichel informed me that Laramie is the 4th girls program in the state of Ohio to achieve 800 wins in their history, so congratulations to the Redskins on that. And right behind the Redskins are the Russia Raiders and Anna Rockets, who will meet on December 16th for a matchup at Claire C. Nouveau Gymnasium. Russia last night just beat Newton in overtime 38-35, and Anna is off to a solid start. They lost to Laramie, but they got a real good team. They got a new coach. They got returning players like Macy Hulskamp, Taylor Kaufman, and Bria Cook. And one thing I base second place off of right now is common opponent, and Russia and Anna have both played Houston. Both of them have dominated. Russia won by 25, Anna won by 32. So I think it's a razor-thin margin for second place in the league right now.
Yeah, with those names that you said in that Anna team, you can only assume the best out of them with a good senior class and a couple juniors, like you said, Bria Cuck and Taylor Kaufman. You know, they'll look to rock up the SCAL a little bit, maybe take that second spot from Russia. But I also like Russia with the experience that they have from that district team and the freshman Ashley Scott. You know, she's a pure athlete. We saw her on the volleyball court as a freshman from the district champs from the Raiders. But I see it's a toss-up between both those games. I'd love to see them battle it out Saturday.
And interesting fact, when Russia defeated Jackson Center Saturday 40-24, Russia held Olivia Clark without a field goal. Caitlin Sosby led scorers with 12 points. Now switching gears from the SCAL to the MAC, Minster's been dominating, as I think most of us expected. They beat Laramie last night, a solid team who I obviously said picked to win the SCAL. I think it's a potential regional matchup. And they got a plethora of good players. They have Courtney Pranger, Ivy Wolf, Taylor Kogi, Allie Fisher, Demarius Wolf, and so on. They just got a plethora of athletes, and that's why I picked them to win the MAC at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, for sure. I've watched them play a couple times this year, and I love the way that they play. They can share the ball great. You know, they had the freshman Ivy Wolf bringing up the ball, and she wasn't phased at all with that varsity. You know, some freshmen, they might get those first game jitters, but she looked steady as a rock out there. And also with Allie Fisher, she was out with a wrist injury, but with her back, she'll be able to bring the ball up the court as well with Ivy and just really be able to handle any pressure that's thrown at them. And also, you can't forget about Courtney Pranger, the D1 commit, and, you know, that just draws a lot of attention from the defense, and that really gives the guards an opportunity to drive and dish to her.
Yeah, and the thing about Minster is with Pranger being a Division I commit and Ivy Wolf being so talented as a freshman, you focus so much on them, but they got so many other players that can score in double digits, whether it's Kogi, whether it's Fisher, Demarius Wolf even. You got a lot of people to focus on, and that's what I think makes Minster so dangerous.
Yeah, it's not like you can just come in there and focus on one person that you have to guard and just no help off them, because it's almost like you have to go no help off of any of them, because all of them have the threat to score, the threat to dish, the threat to set up anything. And if you look at the scoreboard, I mean, you can see double digits from any of those players any given night, and it's really tough to guard a team like that.
And even though Pranger going to Xavier last year, she wasn't even the MAC Player of the Year. The MAC Player of the Year last year was Rosie Westerbeck. And Pranger isn't a stat sheet stuffer, as people might say talented Division I commits would be, but she does a lot of the little things. She hustles, and she created a lot of opportunities for Rosie Westerbeck, and I argued for Pranger to actually be the Player of the Year, because I think Courtney Pranger made Rosie Westerbeck Player of the Year last year because she's just that talented.
You know, I can agree with that, with her being over 6 foot and with how tall she is. You know, she draws a lot of attention from the defense, and with Rosie being out there on the guard, you know, if Rosie dishes it into her and she dishes it back out, that guard probably double down, and it sets up a lot of points for her. Being a 1,000-point scorer, she can thank Rosie for a couple of them points.
Yeah, but last year, I think without having Rosie, obviously a little more of the scoring load is going to go on Courtney, but I think that's just fine. She does a terrific job, and I think a team that will challenge Minster in the MAC, I think probably the only challenger they will have will be the Versailles Tigers, coming fresh off that D3 state title in volleyball. They got a lot of players. They got 4-year starter Kami McEldowney, who was on the state team in 2015. They got the Winter sisters. They got Ellen Peters, a terrific defensive player. And they've got some younger people. They got Caitlin McEldowney. They got Danielle Kunk, and among others.
Yeah, all those names, I mean, they're great. You see them in the newspaper all the time when Versailles has a game. With all those girls coming from that D3 state championship in volleyball, all those girls, you know, they got a week off, and then they're already back into the basketball season full swing, and they just know how to win together. You know, they lost to Coldwater in the season when they played them, and then they came back and beat them in 5 in the state tournament. So they know how to win, and they're easily capable of taking that into the basketball season with an in stride.
Yeah, and I think it's Versailles' region to lose, but like I'm going to say with Minster, as Minster has D4, it's their region to lose. I'm going to say the same with Versailles. I think Versailles in tournament, they always peak at the right time. Might not be the best at midseason, but they always come into the tournament playing hot, and that's why I think you've seen them in the regionals and in Columbus fairly often over the past 10, 15 years, is because they play hot at the right time. They got a great coach in Jackie Stonebreaker who goes after the team, a certain team's weakness, and she really attacks it with her team, and she's got so much talent at her disposal.
Yeah, I mean, there's no kid that goes unused over there. She knows how to use her kids and the way to play. Alan Peters, she's always guarding the biggest scoring threat, and just all those girls. They got the winter girls who are both pretty much equally tall, and it's just like an exchange off of them off the bench. She knows how to use her girls, and she just knows how to win.
And that's all we have from Studio R. Back to you guys.
All right, great stuff there, guys. Lots to look forward to in the SCAL and the MAC. We're going to take a short break, but when we come back, we're going to talk some CCC girls basketball, including that interview with Newton star Tatum McBride.
My father said it's time to be home, man, but don't go town in the motherland. You were born with heart, raised on pride. This vinegar runs through your bloodline. Oh, 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 loaded, bruised, and slain. Oh, 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 pride in this name. Well, the skies run deep within this blue. False devised by foolish views. Religious divide among the may create civil war on my friendly land. Oh, 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 blood and bruised and slain. Oh, 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 pride in this name.
And welcome back to the second half of Fish Report Live. Before the break, we were talking a little SCAL and MAC girls basketball. And Ken, we always like to talk about some other conferences around here. Tonight, we're going to talk about the CCC. Let's take a quick look at their standings and see where they're sitting at right now.
Well, Craig, in the CCC girls basketball this year, again, pretty early to look at them, but we're going to look at them anyways. And you see a plethora of teams there, Craig, undefeated in conference play right now, led by Covington at 2-0. Then you got Tri-Village, Miami East, Newton, Arcanum, all undefeated. So great league, Craig, and we're going to see a lot of action throughout this season, and we're really looking forward to talking about Newton Indian basketball here in just a minute.
Yeah, bless you there. One star, of course, in the CCC right now is Tatum McBride, and she's got a chance to watch her play on Monday night. Quite a treat to watch her and what she's able to do. We're happy to have her live on the phone right now. Tatum, welcome to Fish Report Live, and thanks for joining us.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Well, listen, glad to have you on the show. It's been an exciting first week of basketball, certainly over there in Newton. You guys opened the season with that big win over Mississinewa, a record-setting win, and then you went to an overtime game against Russia. I want to start with that Mississinewa game, though, Tatum. I said it was a record setter, and that's because your team scored 28 points in the first quarter, which was a school record over there for points in a quarter. What's up with that? Was everyone just hot? Was everyone just that first game just ready to go?
We worked a lot in the off season on our press. That was like one of Coach's main focuses. So we really wanted to do well in that, our first game coming in. So we really just was hot on the press and got turnovers and converted into points. So pretty good way to start off our season.
Well, I guess. I got a chance, like I said, to watch you during that Russia game, and a good game for you. You had 18 points, and a good game for Newton, but you went to overtime against Russia, fell there in the overtime period. But I want to know what your thoughts were after that game, maybe more particular if you could tell us what Coach Fisher might have said to you after that game.
Yeah, I think we were all kind of disappointed because it was one that we felt like we had, and then kind of right at the end we let it slip away from us. And anytime you get a chance to beat a team that's as strong as Russia is obviously something you want to take advantage of. But so something that Coach just really wanted to say to us was that we can't dwell on it. You know, we have to learn from it and to get better from it. So he just brought in some stats of things that we needed to work on, and then we got to work right away on our weaknesses so that we can get better for our next game. So.
Tatum, hi, this is Ken Francis, and we talk a lot about Shelby County League sports over here. We like to reach out to the CCC as well, and talking about playing Russia, as you know, as your coach knows, very important to go out and challenge your team, play, very good competition, which obviously will make you better down the road. Russia not only being the Shelby County League team, you also play Houston, you play Fairlawn. But tell us a little bit about some of the other players on your Newton Indian team and what kind of roles they fill for you.
Yeah, we have a lot of girls returning this year. We have 7 seniors, actually. So we have Anna Wolf, who's a senior, who helps us a lot down low. She's long, and she can knock down a shot from outside, too. Then we have Macy Flannery, who's also a senior and who's a shooter for us. And we have 2 juniors who contribute a lot, Mallory Dunleavy and Maddie Hildebrand. And then we have a sophomore, Brooke Dieter, who does a good job for us. But for the most part, we're pretty balanced. We can go 4 to 5 girls into the bench who can contribute, so it's always something good to have. There's a lot of girls who can play. So,
Tatum, I want to talk a little bit about your off-season work. A lot of the talented, good basketball players these days, they get wrapped up into AAU programs throughout Ohio. They travel throughout the Midwest, some throughout the country. What about Tatum McBride? What do you do in the off season? Do you play AAU basketball, and if so, can you elaborate a little bit on who you play for and any other local players?
Yeah, I was fortunate to get on Dayton Lady Hoop Stars Premier team. I was coached by Matt Magis, and it definitely helped me a lot, especially with exposure, getting colleges to come see me. Coming from a smaller high school, it's hard to get them out to watch you play. So that was definitely helpful, and my coach really focused on helping us individually with our skill work, so that was nice. So we could really see our weaknesses and what we needed to work on for the season and really get better, giving us all confidence coming into the high school season. I knew that since I'd worked in the off season, I could be a leader for my team, so it was extremely helpful, and I was very thankful for that. So,
Tatum, let's talk a little bit about your upcoming game here. You take on Milton Union, a team that's sitting at 1-2 currently, but they've got some tough losses. They played a very good Middletown Madison team that we're familiar with up here because they hook horns with our Anna Rockets a lot over here, and also Preble Shawnee, who's also another good girls basketball program there. What's it going to take to beat Milton Union, and what do the Lady Indians need to improve upon coming off that loss to the Russia Raiders?
Yeah, something we talked a lot about in practice was just taking care of the ball. I know against Russia we had way too many turnovers, so that's something that Coach really tried to hound on us, was that we needed to take care of the ball. So really just looking to do that and to convert turnovers into points. We did a good job of turning Russia over, but we didn't really convert them into points. So definitely something that we want to come into Milton and do tomorrow.
All right, Tatum. Hey, listen, I got to ask you a question about your dad, and of course, I think most people know him, Pat McBride. He is the on the Southwest District Athletic Board. He's also the superintendent over there at Newton, and I discovered or learned this summer that he fills another role there, a role that a lot of schools are hurting for, and that's bus driver. So,
Yeah.
So you get to see this guy at home, you get to see him at school all day, and I don't know if he's driving the bus back and forth to the games now, but you must have a pretty special relationship to spend that much time with him.
Oh, yeah, I think my mom actually gets jealous because we're always together, but yeah, definitely thankful that my dad's always around and get to spend time with him. So.
All right, well, listen, one more question, and I know you're committed to playing college basketball after your senior year of high school here. Can you tell us a little bit about where you're going and how you made your decision?
Yeah, I'm going to Lenoir-Rhyne University. It's a Division II school. They compete in the South Atlantic Conference. It's in Hickory, North Carolina. I don't know if very many people have heard of Hickory, North Carolina. But they contacted me towards the end of my AAU season, and I wasn't really sure, never heard about them or anything. So I looked them up online and really liked some things that I saw. I actually really liked the location, even though it was pretty far away from home. So me and my parents took a visit up there. I met with the coaches, and that's really what helped me make my decision super clear, was the coaches. I really enjoyed them and clicked with them right away. They're all first-year coaches. So I really liked the newness that they brought into the program and just what they wanted to see accomplished over the next years. So felt like I could fit in really well there, and I'm really excited for what's to come there.
Well, I think that's great stuff, Tatum. You can't pick a more beautiful place to be going than Hickory, North Carolina. I've been there myself, and just beautiful country down there in that part of the country. And so good luck to you down there. Good luck to your Newton Indians the rest of this basketball season. And we'll be keeping an eye on you, and hopefully we'll be running into your dad here, towards the end of the seasons, also in the postseason, and hopefully he'll be talking to our Russia fans and handing us the big trophies every once in a while.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
All right, and that was Newton star Tatum McBride. Ken, like I said, we got a chance to watch her on Monday night over there at Newton, and I think there's going to be 2 or 3 dangerous teams like there is every year in the CCC. I think Newton's going to be one of them. That team constantly is setting screens for her to get her loose, and I could hear Russia coach Andy Timmerman constantly yelling at his girls, "Don't lose her, don't lose her." And about the time they did was when she would get a shot off. So very dynamic player.
Very talented girl there, Craig, and a great interview. I thought she did a great job there. So thanks, Tatum, for being on our show, and really appreciate taking time out of your schedule.
All right, well, let's get back to the sound room. We want to check in with the guys back there. We got Heavy D and Ross, and Ross for the second week in a row filling in for the vacationing Heavy D. We're going to say he's on vacation because he's down in Mexico. What the heck's going on with TK, guys? Is he bullfighting down there? Running with the bulls? What do they do down there?
Well, first off, Ross is doing a heck of a job back here in the sound room. He's keeping me in line, keeping everything dialed in, teaching me what buttons to push back here. But for TK, he keeps tweeting in on different things. I think he's actually down there on work and maybe some play. A lot of tweets coming in on different beverages he's enjoying in the greater Mexico area.
Well, you can't drink the water down there.
You can't, so he's doing the next best thing, and but we look to have TK back next week, all in one piece from Mexico, and traveling back tomorrow. Hope he has a safe trip back.
Probably eating a lot of tacos and burritos down there too.
He might be.
A lot of street meat he's sampling down there. A lot of variety.
Well, we're glad to have Ross back there filling in for him, doing an excellent job.
Ross does a great job for us back here. Ross is I'll give Ross a little shout out. His 7th grade squad off to a 1-0 start there this year, playing some good basketball and a lot of fun, isn't it, Ross?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. Thanks for being on our show back there. And it's kind of nice, Craig. We got an athlete and a worker at the same time. We
2-1.
Yeah, 2-1 right there with Ross.
Well, stay right there, Ross, because we're going to ask you for the answer to tonight's poll question. Ken, why don't you tell our viewers what it is again?
Which girls basketball player from the CCC do our viewers feel will have the best basketball season? Will it be Sammy Whiteman from Covington, Tatum McBride from Newton, Emma Prince from Tri-Village, or Morgan Haney from Miami East? Ross, give us the telemetrics back there. What are they saying?
Majority of the votes go 67% with Tatum McBride, 27% Sammy Whiteman, and 7% Morgan Haney.
Well, that's good stuff, and I'm sure we had a lot of viewers out there from the Newton area tonight, Craig, but they made a wise choice because I agree. I think seeing Tatum play the other night, she's a great basketball player, and she's fun to watch.
She's my vote also. All right, and that's going to wrap it up for us tonight. We do want to say special thanks to Tatum for joining us live tonight. Ken and I and the crew will all be back again next week, same time, same place. Until then, have a great rest of the week, and good night, everyone.
Hanging at the fishing pond, hanging at the fishing pond, hanging at the fishing pond, hanging at the fishing pond. For your latest news and high school sports, tune in to the fishing pond. Don't need no bed, don't need no pole when you tune in to the fishing pond.